out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there's a field of endless harmony. I'll meet you there. It's good to be here now, to be in this place. When the soul lies down in the grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense. So I've taken a few liberties with Rumi's poem, but it seemed like a fitting place to start, knowing that Aurora was going to be playing this morning, and I know where that takes me. And it seems to me this is always the beginning point. The beginning point of any day, the beginning point of any creative cycle, the beginning point of any service, from that infinite oneness, that place of all beginnings. This is the beginning point of every treatment. It's the beginning point of my talk. Could it be the beginning point of every conversation? From the infinite deep that resides within each of us. That is the core of each of us. That is the place where we are one, where even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense. I've been thinking a lot lately about creation and not to get involved in creation stories of 6 days and evolution and making living things out of rocks. Whatever. Anything's possible. But I'm looking at something, and it's this great nothingness. The Tao Te Ching says the Tao that can be named is not the Tao. So there's this huge nothingness, and out of that something appeared. The first piece, the first step, the first aspect of creation. In the Bible it says, God said, let there be light. Some knowingness, something. And as soon as there's that one, something else happens. In the Tao Te Ching, number 42, it says, the Tao begat one, one begat two, two begat three, and three begat the 10,000 things. As soon as there's one, it implies 10,000 or an infinite number. But it is at that state of oneness, that unity place, that first place of creation and manifestation that I'm speaking of, that the music takes me to. That's at the center of our meditations. That's literally at the center of our beings. Good to be here now. To be here in this perfect starting point, which is nothing. That's the whole mind-bending thing of it. And thank goodness I can't wrap my mind around that. It's too big. Finite cannot encompass infinite. But I can feel it, I can sense it, I can experience it. And in many ways, the practice of science of mind and all religious practices are intended to bring us to the experience of that. So here we are now. And my topic for this morning is Vision for the New Year. And as usual, I have about 4 hours worth of notes here. And I appreciate what's been said already this morning about vision. We did not coordinate at the physical level around this topic and what would be shared. But somehow Spirit has a way of coordinating because it all stems from the same spot. It all comes from the same point. There's only one conversation going on, actually. And it's all within this one great one that is at the core of each of us. So what is vision? And I didn't go through a whole lot of, I did some preparatory work, but I didn't go to the dictionary and look it up. I just pulled a definition that seemed right to me, and it's the ability to perceive, the ability to see, to perceive what is present. And what is present? Well, that depends on our consciousness. I see according to the state of my consciousness. There's an old saying, I think it's universal, it comes out of the Middle East perhaps, but I learned it in New York, and it says, the pickpocket only sees pockets. Right? The pickpocket only sees pockets. And the same is true for any endeavor, if that's where your focus is. Okay, if you're a businessman, you're looking for business opportunity, every meeting, every person you meet, everything you see is another business opportunity. If you're a spiritual person looking to expand one's experience of living in the reality of being, then every encounter, every word, everything else that comes is another opening and possibility to let that enlarge. So we go in the direction of our consciousness, we go in the direction of our vision. So the vision is really important. And the two play with each other. They expand as consciousness expands. It expands as consciousness expands. And as human beings, as creative beings living from this infinite place, who, I was about to say work in conjunction with God, but that would imply some kind of two-ness, some kind of duality. So all of this godness I'm talking about is only one thing going on. Let's just get that squared away at the base level. So I'm going to put it in certain terms. God, we, said, let there be light, let me make something of myself, and I recognize myself. Then a little further on in the Bible, it says, and then God, the Elohim, us, said, let us make man in our image, that is, human beings, in the image and likeness of God, with the character of God, the ability to create, the ability to see into the future and remember the past. It seems to me this ability to see into the future and remember the past, while it may not be unique to human beings certainly take it to a place that no other species really does. For better or worse. But it's a God-given gift, the ability to look and see something into the future. So relative to vision, there's this ability to see what is here right now. Do I see everything coming to me and radiating from me as an expression of this one spirit? Or is it all about something else, something lesser? And there's a vision that looks both forward and back. And with my backward-looking vision, I can look back and remember my past, revisit it in my mind, in my heart, through my feeling realm, and remember it, and I can also see it anew. When I was a teenager, I thought about my parents in certain ways. I was amazed at how much brighter they got by the time I turned 25. They really grew up. But as I turned 35 or more, and I began to look back and really think about my father and his upbringing and the things he told me about himself and the way he acted and the way he interacted with his brothers, and really thought about what it would be like to have 7 brothers or some large families, some large number of people, and be in the midst of all of that. Stop thinking about it from my own little point of view, but to expand my vision of him and what it was like to be him. And likewise with my mother, knowing what she went through, knowing what her life was like. She also came from a large family, being with her sisters. All of that, and suddenly, over time, my view of my past changed. I wasn't a victim of all of their shortcomings. We were all just trying to work it out. And they were doing the best they could, and I was doing the best I could, trying to get through something in order to grow up. Vision into the past, to look deeper. Last time I had the opportunity to speak here, I spoke about looking at things from a larger point of view. I'm still talking about that. If we want to experience the fullness of all there is, and in that there is pleasure, that's kind of why we're doing it. That's why I'm doing it. If I want to experience the nature of God, I need to take on some of the attributes or exercise those attributes of God that are mine. The ability to see things from a larger point of view. And it's appropriate in our spiritual development, in our unfoldment, in our expansion, that looking at things in childish ways goes away. We expect that emotionally from children turning into adults. We expect that in a lot of ways. We don't allow people to drive until they're a certain age. It's strangely young here in North Carolina, but I get it. But we look for a certain maturing. And that maturing happens with us as well. Naturally, if we don't get in the way. So I'm not suggesting that we rip the skin off the snake in all of this development. The snake sheds its skin when it sheds its skin. And there's something we have to do. There's something the snake has to do when it's time to shed the skin. Usually rub up against the rock or against a branch to help the skin come off. But the idea isn't to beat ourselves up because there's some idealized idea about the way it's supposed to be, and why aren't I living up to all of this? That doesn't really help. I think of it like pushing a little soap bubble. You know those soap bubbles we used to use when we used to blow when we were kids? I did anyway. I know you did, right? Okay. Did anybody blow soap bubbles? Thank you. I was the only one. Okay, so you blow your soap bubbles, and you have the soap bubble, and if you try and push it, you can push it, but you have to push it just gently enough to keep it moving. If you push it too hard, it'll pop. And if you don't push it, it just falls down and pops anyway. It's like pushing a soap bubble. There's something we have to do, but it's with gentleness. It's with love. It's with invitation. How did I get here? I'm supposed to be talking about vision. Okay. So here we are, we're created beings, and we are each at the center of our worlds. And it's a holographic universe, so we're all at the center of our worlds. As far as I'm concerned, everybody is out there. It's all around me. There's a world inside of me, but I'm at the center of this thing. And the same is true for you. And how you perceive that is something else again. And as I or any one of us are standing here speaking from this place, or in fact, any time we're speaking to each other, I'm speaking to your entire world. Because you're connected to a whole world. I think we don't like to think about that too much because it's too overwhelming. I'd rather just think, oh, I'm talking to Charlie, and that's fine. But no, I'm talking to Charlie and his parents and his brothers and his sisters and the person he spoke to in the store 20 minutes ago. Everybody. So what is it that I'm looking to actually speak? What am I looking to actually bring? In talking about a vision for the new year and our ability to bring something as creative beings, what is it that we're actually looking to bring? I used the Tao Te Ching, so I feel okay to use the Bible now. So, in the Bible, after a whole bunch of creation had gone on, God, the A alone, created man, that is humankind, placed them in the garden, eastward in Eden. That's the way it's written in the King James Version. In the garden, which I interpret as a state of consciousness. In the garden, a place of peace. In the garden, a place of oneness. Okay? This was before the so-called fall. But in this state of oneness, at one in God, humankind, eastward. Eastward is the place of the rising sun. It's the place of the new day. And if you remember a little further on, after God had created man, after we had created ourselves to be in this environment, which we created from ourselves, right? It's all one thing. God, big God, rested. Why? Because God was in form on earth to do more creation, to tend and keep the garden. I think that's what my job is. To create and expand the environment of consciousness and all that translates from that is of a heavenly nature, that is at oneness with all that is. Now, we're created beings no matter what. And I think in many ways human beings like to deny that, ignore it, but all the evidence says that we create all over the place. Just look around. Human beings are one of the few species that can actually really impact the earth. Certainly more so than any other species. But here we are as created beings. And what did Jesus say when he was asked? He said, I come that they might have life and have it more abundantly. Which brings me back to my previous question. So when I'm speaking to you, when I'm speaking to my friend, the person in the grocery store, whoever it is, and their whole world, am I bringing life and am I bringing it more abundantly? And it doesn't necessarily mean some highfalutin, technical, there's only one, I don't have to beat them over the head with principles. In many ways, all we need to do is just show up in a spirit of love. They're being crabby, show up in a spirit of love. Person in front of you with 15 items on the 10 items or less line, show up in love. Person that changes lane without signaling, again, show up in love. I come that they might have life and have it more abundantly. If it's good enough for Jesus, it's good enough for me. Vision. Okay, so that's the first part of the sentence. The next part of the sentence is the new year. And I guess there's some usefulness in looking at the new year and working with this dynamic in our particular culture that on January 1st it starts the new year. But in fact, the new year begins every day. Every day is the beginning of another year. That's why I like that song right here, right now. It works really well. Every moment is a new beginning. And we set something in motion by what we choose to think and feel. What we choose. I think we all agree we can choose to think, but do we know we can choose to feel? I've been taught to feel certain ways about certain things. Well, I've been taught that. I can unteach myself that. What is the feeling that comes up for me about certain things, whatever I see out in the world, from the largest point of view, from the big picture? What else is going on there? What else is going on? So to let that become a habit, to replace habitual ways of being that do not bring life with new habitual ways of being that do bring life. And again, not to beat ourselves up. There is something about right timing. And if I look to change a habit at the right time, to catch the wave, so to speak, of what is right for me, it works just fine. The new habit takes place, the old habit disappears, and it's smooth sailing. I'm still waiting for that right time to come along for the ab lounge I have at home. I saw it on TV one night and bought it. You exercise and you get like the six-pack really fast. I've had this thing 3 years. But I was on it twice last week, so that's a total of 5. But the right time is here. I know it's just, and you can feel when the right timing is. Right timing is important for creation. And that's why it's important to think about the new year at any given moment. Is the new year, if it's the right time. It's the new cycle, if it's the right time. So it doesn't make any sense, as you said, to make New Year's resolutions on January 1st. It may or may not be the right time to set a new intention in right time. And then in the process of setting that intention, in the process of allowing something to begin to manifest, to hold at that point, to be consistent, to be patient, to trust the principle, period. I'm willing to bet that every single person in this room has had some kind of success with spiritual principles. And you can take that one little success and parlay it into millions if you want. Whatever millions means. But to take that one and multiply it. So timing is important. Patience comes around. And it allows the universe, it allows the rest of the environment to coalesce around the pattern that we are holding in mind. Sometimes we hold a pattern, we put something out, and it comes back immediately. Sometimes a whole bunch of other stuff needed to happen out there somewhere before it actually lands in form in front of us. It seems to me that's why it so often seems to come out of left field. So I'm holding a pattern for whatever it is, and I'm looking here, looking for it, expecting it's going to come. I keep buying those lottery tickets. I keep doing whatever, and here it comes from this direction I didn't imagine. The good news is I was holding something consistently, and then it comes. So to be patient and allow it all to work out, because everything is being coordinated. So I'm thinking about a vision for life. Not just for me, but for everyone. There's a quote that until all are free, none are free. And I think I first heard that when it was spoken by Dr. Martin Luther King, but apparently he was quoting Emma Lazarus, who was a late 18th century poet. So in the few moments I have left, I'd like to continue a little bit with the meditation and consideration that Devon was taking us through. What is our vision for the new year? And I'm going to suggest that it not be just for me personally, as if there was some kind of reality to that anyway. But for all. How will it feel? How will it feel when there is freedom? How will I feel? How do I feel? Let's bring it into the present moment. When I feel free. Free to live. Free to enjoy life. Take a breath and feel that. How do I feel when I feel freedom? And looking toward the new year. How will I feel when the feeling of freedom, the experience of freedom, which is primarily internal anyway, but freedom in whatever way is known increasingly more by the people of our worlds. Whether that world includes our sons and daughters and grandchildren and cousins and uncles and aunts. or the people in the farthest reaches on the other side of the world. How does it feel to have more than enough of everything I need relative to food, clothing, and shelter? How does it feel? And looking at the new year, how does it feel to know that the peoples of the earth, the worlds that we center, have increasingly more than enough food, shelter, and clothing? How does it feel to have good health? I was with a friend a couple of Sundays ago, and she said, I really appreciate my health. I've been feeling really badly up until a couple of days ago. How does it feel? Her comment reminded me to not wait until I get sick, to be thankful for the health that is present now. And to whatever degree health is present now, we're still alive, we're sitting in this room. It's the basis and the point, the jumping off point, the going forward point for increased health and vitality. I come to bring life, that they might have it more abundantly. How does it feel? And how will it feel when justice, peace, and security are the norm? It gives us pause to think about what justice actually is. Is it only retribution? Is that what justice is? I'm still working that one, to tell you the truth. I think I count on divine justice. But be that as it may, when justice, peace, security, which again are primarily internal, peace, to feel peace, extend it, to look for it returned, to expect it to be returned to me. And the last thing I wanted to mention is, I think we all can look around at our world and see that many people are not enjoying their experience. And there may be a lot of reasons, everything from how various entities in the world treat each other, how individuals treat each other. Everything that might include people's spiritual missions to come in and incarnate in certain ways and play certain roles. But change is in motion. And change is coming, change needs to come if the fullness of God in form as humankind on earth is to be known. The vision I'm offering, how does it feel as change comes gently? Now, it seems to me my impulse is to think that it takes longer for it to come gently, but I'm okay with that. Let it come gently. Let what is going on this planet find a new equilibrium at a higher state of consciousness without a lot of additional suffering, without any additional suffering. I can want that. When I think about all the things I could want, I like that one. That one makes me feel good. So here we are as creative beings with the ability to look forward, to look back, to create, to be the means of God, our deepest aspect, to be in action in this environment. So what a gift it is to say goodbye to 2014 and hello to 2015 on this note. And so it is.